Everything I have worked at in my life has turned into a failure.
Isn't it interesting that failure is the precursor to success, and it's not even success in that what you were trying to accomplish?
Okay, and you know what? That's the cold open. Today on the show, I've had such a deep chat talking with my old friend comedian Joe Larson. He's a stand-up comic. Do we need to qualify you with a credit? No,
it's okay.
Exactly. There we go. You know him because you know me. And you know what, man? Let's just start the show.
The Tom Kelly Show. Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
And here we go. Content warning. Spoiler alert. Someone get me a bag of ice. I am here with Joe Larson, and we are doing the Tom Kelly Show. We both just killed at the West Side Comedy Club down the block. Joe is a guy who I want to catch up with, and I said, you know what? Why not just record it? We were just having a real conversation, and I'm going to fudge it up by turning this into a podcast.
Let's bring it back for just a second.
Yeah.
You said any credits.
Yeah.
Here's my favorite. I did America's Got Talent, and you were the warm-up on it.
Oh my God, I remember that night. But
you
killed that night.
I got a standing ovation. Howard Stern gave me the big thing. But my favorite was you came back. You kept trying to give me advice because you know the show very well. But you were also like, you don't know me, but here's what you should do.
Did I give you that much advice? Because I was a little because I don't even know if I had much to offer. It was in Jersey, right?
It was at NJ Pack.
NJ Pack,
and it was one of those things where it wasn't really advice, but it was like, here's what's going to happen, and then this, and then if you can get into these things, do that, and then you'll get more stage time, and it was great. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about that? And they never called you, right? After that?
Well, no, I mean, yeah.
Or did you go to round one or no?
So I went to round one, and at round one they didn't tape me. They called me in. They taped me at my house. They followed me around the city with cameras. I went to, they aired one of my jokes from NJ Pack, and then we went to Radio City, and I sat there at Radio City, and I was supposed to go up, and I had my time, and they said, you know what, we're actually going to let you go. And I was like, but I'm here.
I told my family.
Yeah, I mean,
because it was live by the time you got to Radio City.
So I'm like, okay, we're doing this, and they're like, yeah, we're not.
So it's funny, like part of this whole podcast is about my midlife crisis. I'm trying. By the way, this is the Tom Kelly Show, a podcast where one stand-up comedian. Our slogan for 2024 is one comedian gets back to the fun. Here you are. Yes. Now you have other things going on in your life. You have your wife's a doctor, so you're not worried about money. Like not like you're not destitute if you don't get the gig.
No.
That's the right way to say it. You're not worried about dying poor, but you're worried about, here you are, your dreams are on the line. Mm-hmm. And I know how weird they can be there without getting too into it. They broke my heart a few times.
I can imagine. I've never seen a man work harder than you worked on that show.
Oh, NJ Pack, what was happening those years too.
Sweat pouring off of you.
Oh my God. Because you know what it was? Especially for the pre-tape shows, it was 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then I may have cared a little more when I knew there were comedians I liked on the show. And frankly, I cared more when there were any comedians on the show because I'm like, I don't want it to get back out in the world that I suck.
Yes. Well, and you crushed it. You were doing amazing. My favorite moment was, and it's NJ Pack. It's New Jersey. It's full of Jersey people. And I'm sure in LA when they filmed, they're like, everybody was nice. The person went on before me. They booed him off the stage like it was the Apollo. And you had to come out and be like, we don't boo people.
Oh, my God. I actually have. And it's funny, this is going to come up later because I may answer my fan mail because I've been video blogging on Instagram.
Okay, great.
And I made fun of a local flea market.
Okay.
It's without getting, for the sake, and I made fun of a local flea market and someone said, well, I hope no one ever bashes you inappropriately on the internet. I'm like, well, Google my appearance at NJ Pack. And it is. And whoever it was NJ Pack, America's Got Talent, Google Tom Kelly. I actually asked the person to take it down like 5 years later. Really? And whoever they were so mad about how long they waited that they wrote an awful, awful review. And and it was one of those, I'm like, listen, I'm not going to pay you to take it down. Like, it felt like they would have taken money to take it down. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just let my career go and see where this goes.
And this is why I love living in New Jersey. It's just a state full of piece of shit human beings, and I feel so at home.
Do you feel like, okay, do you feel Jersey is a POS town? Like
no? No, Jersey is like 4 different places.
Okay.
Right? You have North Jersey, you have South Jersey, you have weird middle Jersey. You got the shore, and then you got basically Pennsylvania. You got the woods.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of different jerseys, and it's totally like I live in Essex County, and I live in a very wealthy town. And then down the hill is Irvington, which is part of Newark, and it's very poor. As we say to my children, no sledding.
Okay.
And, nothing downhill. But it's part of the same tax bracket. It's 2 blocks away. Shooting, robbing, mugging, carjacking. 2 blocks up, we have a cat that is, we bought it for $20,000, and it just had a litter. Does anybody want free $20,000 kittens?
Yeah.
It's insane. So New Jersey is, as Chris Gethard so wonderfully puts it, New Jersey is the world.
Yeah, and I guess Long Island is the world, and I'm getting a lot of crap for that, which is funny.
Okay.
I mean, I want to see if the damn thing uploads. So I made fun of the Tri-County Flea Market, and all you need to know is somebody wrote a comment. So what you can tell when you go viral, right? Mm-hmm. There are people who comment on your page, but then when someone takes your content and puts it on their page, you're going out to their fans, and you're getting a different level of comments.
And they're great.
And this woman writes, "Who does this guy think he is to critique this masterpiece of Tri-County Flea Market?" And I want to say this to whoever the hell your name is, because I can't sync up the pictures right now. I'm nobody. Yes, I have a microphone. I have another microphone here. I have a soundboard. I have a laptop. But you could go out and buy them too. I'm just an idiot who has an opinion. And then what happens is you only know that one a-hole thing I said is out there because people respond to me being a dick.
Yeah.
Like you've known me for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy.
You're a sweetheart.
But maybe I need to be more of a dick to go further in show business.
I think that's really the key.
Is that wrong though?
No,
you're not. Here you are on my podcast
exactly,
drinking.
I'm in your apartment.
Okay.
We're both here.
We're both here. I don't know, but you're right. Listen, let's be very clear. I am a nobody who has an Instagram account just like you. I wrote a beautiful piece about my goals for 2024 going back to the fun. It got 11 likes. I crap on a flea market. Thousands.
Well, that's what the internet's for. The internet is not for good, it's for hate. Hate is what really brings us together. Right? Loving something, people are like, I love the Jets. Somebody's like, I love the Jets too. I hate? The Patriots. And they're like, oh,
no,
now we're talking.
And you talk about it again, God rewarding me for being an a-hole. I was willing to say awful things about Tom Brady on television.
Well,
and he might be a nice man. He's raised money for charity.
No, he's not.
No? Good. That's good to hear.
He can't be.
Because I said, I know a girl. He broke up with a pretty girl, but on the other, he broke up with a girl I went to college with, and I felt that was my license
to shit on.
Because the punchline of the joke is, how does she ever date again?
First off,
but this is a man who's raised money for charity, whatever. And
that's the lengths you'll go to get laid.
Oh, and it didn't work. And to be very clear, people, it did not work. And we actually,
you're going, hey, we're both named Tom.
Well, I've told this story before. It's a girl who I went to college with. She lived in a dorm, in the dorm room with all the hot girls. They called it, if you remember the 1990s TV show Models Inc., of course, they called her dorm Models Inc. Oh, wow. I only really had one interaction with her the graduation day.
Okay.
And we sat next to each other. We were both drunk, and that was about it.
Yes.
Flash forward 2 years later, I'm told, she's dating Tom Brady. Oh, she's dating Tom Brady. Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl, and then he dumped her 2 weeks later for Bridget Moynihan.
Okay.
Fine. I go on TV and make the joke of, this girl will never date again because it's like dating Superman and going back to Clark Kent.
Yeah, of
course. You can't. Even when it's the same guy, but she's pining for Superman.
Absolutely.
And
Jessica Seinfeld would never date you either.
Thank you. Yes, yes.
Like that same idea,
So anyway, I tell this story on The View.
But Jessica, you want to go to West Side Comedy Club?
After you see your ex-husband at the Beacon across the street. So big ending is she saw it. Or the Boston Globe picked up on the story and reached out to her for a quote.
No.
And she just said, yes, Tom had reached out. So I asked her out on television.
That's beautiful.
And I also asked her out directly on Facebook.
That's even
and I got rejected in the Boston Globe. Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was just, will there be a chance at a date? And her quote was, well, Tom did reach out to me. And then crickets after that.
So I always wanted to do a show called Misadventures in Love.
Yeah.
And that was one of those perfect ones where it's you literally you reached out in a very public, almost joking way, then in a private, very real way, and she shut you down in the most public way. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So like, it's funny. Years ago, I was on a reality show with Jenny McCarthy. It only went to the pilot.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the truth. They tried. The plot line was going to be I was in love with April Macy.
Oh, okay.
Or Macy. How do we Macy?
Macy, yeah.
Macy. Mm-hmm. And she is hilarious. She's
Not hard to
beautiful, easy on the eyes, 10
nice.
times the comic I'm going to be.
Nice
She's not in an Upper West Side apartment tonight. I think she married a rich guy from Italy. I mean, like, everything's going well for her.
Gorgeous house in Malibu.
Yeah. And that's not all club money. I don't know what this guy. I don't know who he is or what he did for a living. But that said, it's just funny when the plot line. She played the role well when the cameras were on, and I was back in the friend zone when the cameras were off. Mm-hmm. And but I know this: if there's a guest room in the Malibu house, I'll be your butler.
There is, and I know that because I know who lives there.
God, I like Malibu. But I feel like a bad friend for not acknowledging your black eye on camera. I'm going to look like a bad friend. Do I need to acknowledge you have a black eye? I walked out for that bit. You didn't get it in a fight.
No. I got it in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Just got popped. It's not.
Just got popped. Yeah. So you are a badass.
No. I'm not.
You just got popped while practicing.
Yes, practicing. It was not like a street fight. It was just practice. I didn't even know what happened. I was rolling, and then I just saw an occlusion in my vision. This sort of thing came into my field of view, and I was like, what's that? And then I popped up, and the guy looks at me and goes, holy shit, we got to stop. And I go, whoa.
Wow. So what I love is you're still doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I started again. I took 15 years off, and I started again.
Are you good?
I used to be good.
Okay.
Right now, it's I just started back about a month and a half ago, and it's not even a month. It started January. So it was, but it's like looking through a foggy, it's like driving in the fog. You're like, I know I got a left up here somewhere. And and you're going a little slower and you're taking like 3 seconds to get to it. You're like, oh shit, there it was. Oh, okay. I got to turn around. I got to go back. So that's what it's like. I'm in a position. I'm like, okay,
the skills are coming back.
Yeah. I know I can do something.
Is jiu-jitsu like riding a bike?
I mean, a bike that might choke you out. Sure, why not?
Okay, no, but like well, for real, yeah. I guess
I mean, we'll find out. I mean, because again, I'm just starting again, and it's much slower coming back. It's much slower coming back.
Do you feel slower coming back at our age?
Well, that's the other thing. Is like I went 6 classes in 5 days this last week, and I feel so sore. I used to work out. I'd work out in the morning. I was a personal trainer. So then I'd also then go to jiu-jitsu in the afternoon. And then I usually go once again in the evening before I went out to do spots. I'd stay out till 4 o'clock in the morning doing spots, wake up at 6 a.m. I was a maniac. And now I do 5 classes in a week. And I'm like, I'm going to need to sleep in till 10. I'm not doing any shows.
I mean, now can you be, so like, it's funny. I'm in this weird stage of my career where we've talked about this whole time. Mm-hmm. The career is about to bounce back or something as I'm waiting for the fairy godparent. I'm doing new content. I'm doing things in different ways. And part of me has said, maybe I need a non-comedy hobby again.
I truly believe that having a non-comedy hobby is one of the most beneficial things to comedy. Have you ever heard the phrase, build a better machine? If you build a better machine in any way, shape, or form, that machine will perform better in all shapes and forms, is the idea with the human body, right? You get into something else, it gets your brain firing in different ways, it connects new pathways, you become more physically active, more mentally acute, and all of those things. And what happens then is that bleeds into the rest of your life. New disciplines, new neural pathways, all that business. So I'm a huge proponent of, do something outside of comedy.
See, I do like video editing, but that's different. That's comedy related. Everything I do is sort of, comedy
Tom, I think
adjacent.
you need to be punched in the face.
Believe me, you're not the first guest to say that. And here's to that.
Speaking of hate mail.
Yeah, speaking of hate mail, and actually talking about the nice thing about bringing Joe up here, and there's been a couple of times where I've brought guests up here, and I have not been girlfriend ready, whatever the word is for an apartment
absolutely.
to be. Guest ready, like there's sheets over there, there's a green screen over here. But the funny part is, Joe, I go to prepare a drink, and I've had tequila in the fridge for about a year, and I go to get him a ice, and I don't even have ice ready to go.
No ice. He's got no ice. And then over, you guys can't see it, but over there's a dresser next to a couch, which is hilarious.
Okay, but that's Manhattan.
That's a New York City thing. That's not that. Yeah, if you live outside of New York City, you're like, why is the dresser in the living room? If you live in New York City, you're like, oh my God, you have something other than a living room. So like this is but there's just a kitchen, not like a butter knife. There's like a steak knife just sitting.
That one I'm gonna own up to. I don't know how the hell that wound up. So I have a cleaning lady. People,
it's next to the mail and some rags he won't throw out.
So they're nice towels. They're hand towel rags.
Sorry, those are hand towls.
Okay.
You're a single man. You're a single man. Grab them.
I'm gonna pull it out for the visual.
Yep.
What do you call? So these were. I know what they are.
Okay.
These are sweat rags. These are sweat rags I got from Good Morning America from the summer concert series.
Okay.
I feel it's a nice piece of. I feel bad throwing it out.
They're what? One more time.
Sweat rags.
Sorry, they're rags.
No. But they're made of like a nice towel-y cloth. Like they're not rags because a rag is like an old piece of clothing.
See, you're an old Italian man already. You're like, it's not a tube sock cut in half.
So wait, but you have the Irish last name. Are you how far off the boat is your family? Okay.
My great grandmother.
So this is how like guilty I am about throwing things out. I'm going to ask Joe, would you take these home to New Jersey? Would you use them?
No, I would definitely. No, actually, I would because I started a carpentry business last year or 3 years ago, and so I could use those. True, yeah, but
to wipe your sweat off with a rag.
To wipe shit up off the floor and throw those away immediately. Those are paper towels. That's what those are.
You're bad for the environment, Joe.
Oh, absolutely.
You are bad.
100%. I bought a house and I became a Republican immediately.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm actually
but jokes aside. Yes. Now, granted, did buying a house and moving to the suburbs change your career, and how did it change your life? Now, you're also a father. That also is part of it.
Yeah, the career, so it did similar to what being a father did. Number one, it saddles you with a great deal of responsibility, and so therefore you have to make your decisions. You have to be more exact with how you make your decisions. You can't just be running around doing money spots and that sort of business. So that it makes you work more when you work. It makes you relax more when you relax, if that makes sense. Being a father, at least.
Yeah.
When I'm with my kids, I try to be complete with my kids. I take my phone, I put it over there. I don't touch it.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
How old are the kids now?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm usually on my phone. No, they're 9 and 12.
Okay.
But they're so busy with dance and musical theater that I don't see them that often.
Well, yeah, it's funny, especially with the 12. I think you're at the age where you're about to lose them too.
And that's my fear. Oh, it's brutal. But they train for 30 to 40 hours a week on top of school.
Doing jiu-jitsu so they could kick your ass and give you a matching shiner?
Hence the black eye.
Well, no, they train them what though?
Just dance and musical theater.
Now, your wife is a doctor.
Yes.
Was she also a dance and musical theater doctor?
Not at all. No.
So now does she get angry when she sees her progeny having none of her skills?
No, because they both have her discipline. My eldest, she's in 7th grade. She has the moment she got to her 7th grade class, she said she went to her teachers and said, "Hi, my name's Lola. I dance for about 35 hours a week after school. Now, I don't have a lot of time to do homework, so if you can, I'd like you to front load my homework to the front of the week. Now, I'll get it to you in the same amount of time that you're asking for, but Monday's the day I have the most time off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do most of my homework during lunch. So at lunch, she goes to the library, opens her laptop, eats, finishes her homework from the first...
How old is this kid? 12?
12. Finishes her homework for the first 4 periods. She's front-loaded her work towards to Monday, and she got really upset because her grade in her advanced, she's in 8th grade math, dropped to a 94 recently.
Were you this good of a student? You're laughing, but dude, you managed to, you want a little more tequila for this story?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was a shit student. And my wife, though, she took 36 credits a quarter for 6 years in medical school. She graduated in 6 years with 2 master's degrees and a doctorate. So they get it from her. No, they get it from her.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does an idiot comedian, for the sake of the story, meet a woman who's on her way to being a doctor?
Well, let me tell you, just like comedy, timing. Her ex-husband was a heroin addict, so I looked pretty good. Are you drunk again? Yeah, I am, but look at these arms.
Okay. So I have this joke.
Robbed 11 banks, he did.
Really?
Got away with it.
How did he land? But actually, I should be asking him how he landed a doctor. How does a bank robber?
So they were both in pharmacy school together. She was going to get her Pharm D. He was becoming a farm tech, and they met. Turns out there's 2 types of people that go into pharmacy. Number 1 is people that want to go to have a steady job. They can take anywhere, very easy, pretty mindless. Number 2 is drug addicts. They want to be close to drugs. They'll be around drugs.
Was he a drug addict before?
He was, a guy who really enjoyed drugs. And during school, he would pop pills and do that sort of thing. He started working at Swedish in Seattle. And he figured out a way around. They had basically the doctors and pharmacists had these vending machines. So you go in, I need Dilaudid, this, that, and the other. You swipe your card. It tells you who took it and tells you what it was for. It tells you all this where you administer it. He was very smart. He figured out a way around that system. And in 3 years, he had stolen nearly $500,000 worth of narcotics. He was giving to himself, his friends. Got caught. They were so impressed. They just needed to fix the system. They said, we won't press charges if you tell us how you did it.
Wow.
So he said, I did it this way. My wife was so naive at the time. She's, again, a very good student. He comes back, goes, I got busted for doing drugs. They fired me, but I'm going to stay clean. Moved on to heroin, got real bad, and they ended up getting divorced, right?
And then you come in. Here you are, a deadbeat comedian working in the basement of Times Square. Mm-hmm. America's Got Talent is just a twinkle in your eye.
Just a twinkle in my eye, absolutely.
And what happened? She see you at a show?
No, I taught her how to box.
See, that's manly hobbies, man. There you go, the manly non-comedy hobby yet again.
I grew up fighting, so yeah.
What made you grow up fighting?
I was in 3rd grade. I got the shit kicked out of me, and my dad goes, that's never happening again. And he signed me up for karate, and I fought in Kumite for years and years and years. I fought internationally twice, and then I wrestled in high school, wrestled a little bit of freestyle after high school, did Muay Thai, and then I found Jiu Jitsu as well, did some boxing as well, boxed for 3 years. And
see, it's funny. My dad did the same thing with me, and whatever dojo I went into just sucked.
Yeah. This was a badass one. It was associated with the Japanese national team. So they would come over and they would just wipe the floor with us. They just beat the shit out of us. And then they'd send our best guys over to Japan to train with them. And they'd come back and just smack the shit out of us. And the funniest part, and I love this, is you'd walk up to the dojo the first time, you're like, what are all these Japanese dudes smoking outside the dojo for? Because in Japan, they just smoke like chimneys. And they'd come in, beat the shit out of all of us, and then just walk right back outside and keep
light
smoking.
up a cigarette.
Yeah.
Now, where are they now? Maybe you could beat them up now.
Maybe. I've probably got better stamina. If I can.
Actually, was that also incentive for you to start smoking?
I've never smoked a cigarette in my entire life.
Never. Good for you.
No, my father was a comic and a smoker.
I always forget that about. Holy shit! There we go. You know, it's funny. I was looking for the big ending here. Your dad's still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. Your dad was a comic.
Yes.
Till what age?
Probably 64-ish when he retired.
He made a good living.
Enough.
He provided for. He provided for the family.
Bought a house. Put some kids through college. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
you want to become a comedian, what does he say to you?
I didn't want to become a comedian.
You didn't? What, he forced you to?
No.
He said, enough of this jiu-jitsu. Enough of this carpentry.
I was in college, took a quarter off to just, of people of my age, a little younger than you, just fuck off, basically. And I was sitting around my parents' house doing almost nothing. My dad said, my buddy's teaching a comedy class. You want to take it? I said, no. He said, well,
you're not sitting around the house.
I could get you in for free. If you want to take it, you could take it. I wanted to go on a fishing boat. I wasn't able to get on one.
Dude, you're becoming the most manly man I know. Really?
Yeah, I was in Seattle. I wanted to go on a fishing boat to Alaska.
And your family was in Seattle at the time?
Yeah, and so, because I grew up in Seattle.
Okay.
And my uncle was a fisherman. My grandfather built fishing boats. And so, anyway, I wanted to do that. Didn't work out. Sitting around my parents' house doing nothing. And he goes, basically, my friend's teaching a class. And I go, I don't want to do it. And he goes, well, what else are you doing? I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that it's a puzzle. Comedy's a puzzle, right? And I love puzzles. I just love putting together puzzles.
Now, for the folks who don't know comedy, explain that.
So you have something that makes you giggle in your head. Now, the puzzle is, how do I translate that? How do I create? And there's so many different structures and formulas to comedy, right? If you read any Gene Perret book, which is, he wrote for Bob Hope and all those guys,
right?
He's got 15, 16 formulas. Judy Carter's formulas are pretty standard. But it's like, now how do I take this idea and build it into something that is translatable, not just to people that think like me, not just to people that think this is funny. How do I make it funny for everyone? And now that's the puzzle. How do we put the puzzle together? How do we put the pieces together to make this a fun thing that everybody loves?
Okay.
And also make it unique and interesting, because funny can be real hacky, as, you and I have both seen it.
Oh, yeah, and quite frankly, created it.
Yes, of course. We all have.
No.
But, you're a fantastic comic and wildly original. And so, so I fell in love with the puzzle of it.
A puzzle of taking whatever weird thought was in your head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. The first thought that I thought was funny was, and I used to, in middle school, I'd feel gum under the table. Like, hey guys, free gum.
Okay.
Gross.
And
just like, and of course, middle school, it's a funny joke. And I was like, okay, that's a funny idea. I get that, hey, somebody puts gum on here, we can take it and it would be free, is not funny. To be excited is funny. That's the puzzle. Now, there's a billion different ways to fuck that up.
Right.
But there's 1 to 2 ways to make it universally funny in a middle school setting. And that was one of them. So I fell in love with that puzzle. That was a fun puzzle. I don't remember how we got here, but
no. So back to your dad, though. Then.
Oh yeah.
Your dad. Now you love puzzle making.
Yes. Now my father as well.
Your father, though, a comedian who had. I mean, it had to be a harder life, or was he a cruise ship comic? Well,
he did some boats, quite a bit of boats. He had a HBO special and MTV.
He did. Well, you see, real. I didn't know any of this.
Yeah. When I first met Al Lubell at Ha.
Right. Al Lubell knew your pop.
He goes, who's your dad? And I go, you wouldn't know him. He's a West Coast guy. He goes, try me. I know everybody. And I go, Elliot Max. He goes, spiky hair. He had the joke about the pistachio pudding instead of gel. And I went, what the fuck? How do you know? Jesus.
Yeah.
He goes, I have his MTV half-hour comedy hour. I go, my dad doesn't have his MTV half-hour comedy hour. That's amazing. He goes, I taped all of them. I was like, wow. Al Lubell studied everything, so he knew exactly who my father was. He repeated his jokes to me, which was insane.
Al Lubell, we talked about Al Lubell on the podcast, but didn't have Al Lubell on the podcast.
He just moved back to New York City.
Yeah, I had the guy who produced his documentary on, who's Josh Edelman. Josh Edelman. You know him from L.A., probably.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was a big Al Lubell fan, and Al Lubell is a New York. And I guess L.A. comic, for lack of a better word.
He started in Huntington Beach. He was a lawyer in L.A. and then moved out to New York City. But he's completely insane. And he was at Ha when we were there, and you always knew when he was off his meds because he'd bring everything he owned onto the stage with him.
But you know what's funny? And people make fun of me. I do that too now. Not everything I own, but I will at LOL. And you know what, man? If I didn't have a good set tonight, I wonder what my mood would be. No, I'm in that kind of a mood today. Yeah, I was in a dark spot.
I'm sorry, man.
If we don't mind the rambling podcast, and yeah, I was in a dark spot. Girl I'm into said no, and then I was telling you about another girl I was into. Just moved in with her new boyfriend, and I was going to say something mean. And you know what I hate about not saying something mean is it's in me. It's in me, and when I let it out, and I told Joe what I was going to say. I'm not going to repeat it on the show. Or actually, she's not listening. Screw it. But she had.
If it's cathartic for you, say it. But if it's not,
well, I'll say it on the podcast because she's not going to hear it.
Okay.
For real. No. I know. I am 100% sure she's not listening, and I'm not going to give away clues.
Yes.
But it was a girl who I have been asking out on and off for years. We have common friends. She likes comedy. Blah blah blah. And the big ending on her is. She had a boyfriend 8 years ago when I was asking her out, and the relationship ended with them suing each other in court. Nothing abusive, but suing each other in court. And every time she starts dating a guy seriously, a couple of times I've said, is this going to end in a lawsuit? And she just told me, hey, I just moved in with my new boyfriend in a city that I just moved out of that I didn't like a year ago. And I'm like, don't say it.
Yep.
And no, but now you have all these like my old shrink used to say, depression is anger you can't express or anger turned inward.
Interesting.
And I am this, and it's funny. Thank God you're here because I was going to do a whole podcast on this.
I've been battling some depression lately, and that's very.
Think about that. Like, are you mad at someone?
Absolutely, that's a very insightful.
But you can't say it.
Nope.
Now, I mean, I'm making it up. Let's make it the puppy. In your house, because I don't want to step on a real landmine.
And that's but yeah, no.
But if it's someone you love, you don't want to say the vile thing.
No, of course not. You don't want to hurt them.
But on the other hand, the vile thoughts in your head and it's unexpressed. Mm-hmm. I've been going to a shrink. I'm on 2 different shrinks in the last 5 years, trying to get.
I just love that you're a guy in the 1950s. Based on this jacket and the fact that you say shrink.
I love the word
Not a
shrink.
Therapist, yeah.
Well, no, but I don't like saying. So actually, but you are God. You are the most friggin'.
My shrink is abroad, and let me tell you, this broad.
I'm glad you're here, and I know this. By the way, for folks who listen to the 20-minute shows, I know this is going long because I'm having a great time. So I hope you're here. I like saying shrink because you know what? So it's weird. My parents are old-fashioned.
Yes.
They were wise enough to send me to a psychologist in the 7th grade.
That's incredible.
And honestly, but I was also raised in Long Island, which is a culture where I don't know if you can openly say you have a psychologist.
No, honestly, in Long Island, you can still say fag.
Yeah.
It's totally okay. It's a very...
And I got beaten up for guys thinking I was gay.
No, it's the quickest way to get to 1984 is just heading down the LIE. You don't need a DeLorean. Just
oh god, I'm gonna make that a clip and you're gonna go viral and you're gonna get the hate mail I'm getting.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, trust me. I've always said Long Island is just an island shaped like a penis full of dicks. It is horrendous.
See, and it's funny. I'm getting finishing on the psychologist thought.
Yes.
And then we'll go into Long Island bashing. I have but I find when I say evil things, I feel better in the short run, and the short run may last a week or 2.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll regret it if I need a job from that person. But what are the odds I'm going to need a job from a professional Staples employee in New Jersey? I'm making up But do you see, you strike me as the most evenly toned human being I have had here for a while.
Interesting. That's a great, thank you. That's very kind.
But you work at that.
I should more. Again, I think that exercises the demons. I'm very much a physical person.
So, and I did that today. I did the spin class and a stretching class, and it did not make me feel any better today.
No, because you just did.
Wait, you mean it doesn't just work on the first day?
No, it doesn't work on the first day. And number 2, there has to be something primal about it. And a spin class and a yoga class or whatever it was you did, there's nothing primal about that. right? There's something incredibly primal about challenging yourself to a point where you don't think you're going to, you think you're going to die. You think you're not going to last, right? I did powerlifting for years, and there's nothing more terrifying than getting underneath a bar that you've never lifted 400 pounds on your back and your body's doing this and I might die. My whole spine might explode. And then you finish it and you're like, oh my God, I did something I could never do. Jiu-Jitsu, same thing. I walked into a place and I had 15 dudes try to kill me, literally try to murder me, break my arms, choke my neck, try to kill me. And I walked out of there alive and I learned something, I did something, and I was put in true peril. Humans today, especially ones living in places like New York City, don't have any peril. There's nothing. You're never in a position where you're in, well, other than crossing the street, in danger.
Well, I was going to say, I just took a subway up to the South Bronx last night. Let's not go crazy here.
That's fair. But genuinely, I think that if you look at human evolution, it is only the last 200 years where we haven't been in peril every single day.
Fine.
So, humans are supposed to put themselves in situations where things could possibly not. And jiu-jitsu is one of those where it's like, I know I can tap. I know I can get out of this. So it's not.
So you're not really in danger.
I'm not.
So
really
how does
in
that
danger.
count?
But when you're getting choked, it feels like it. When you're getting your arm broken, it feels. Oh my God! I need to do something. And there's an endorphin thing. You're tricking your brain.
Yeah, I'm gonna argue there has to be a middle ground.
Yeah, there should be.
I'm gonna argue that spin class should have done the job. I'm sorry.
First off, no one's ever seen a man on a spin bike and thought, I want to fuck that guy. Doesn't matter how hot he is, because no one's ever like, that guy on the bike going nowhere, that's the one I want. They've seen a guy on a bike that's actually moving and thought, I want to fuck that guy.
I'm not even trying to have sex. I'm just trying to not want to like murder my parents.
Luckily, if you need to ride a bike out there, you're not getting there.
Okay. Folks, the last 5 minutes will be left in, but it went nowhere. I was looking for but when I usually do these podcasts, I try to come with a
resolution,
a poetic ending, and you were so close. But in the end, it's like I'm like, okay, he's gonna give me an answer that's gonna make me feel good about my life, and maybe I just need to pursue that path a little more. And no, in the end, you just made me feel like a pussy for biking for an hour.
Yeah, ride that bike, the one that's real.
I bike that one too, but not in the cold. I'm not biking that in the fucking cold. And actually, I won't bike that in the city anymore because, quite frankly, I just don't have the hand-eye coordination anymore.
My point exactly.
You call me when you're 48. For a man with a black eye, you're full of a lot of great ideas about peril. For a guy with a black eye.
Thomas, I love you to death.
I love you to death, too.
You're one of my favorite human beings. And let's wrap it up this way.
Yeah.
I met you when I was a child. I was maybe 24. And we spent many, many very long nights in a dungeon together, which honestly, if we're going to bring it back to anything, that's exactly what I was talking about. It was life or death down there. And it's so much fun because we've spent years where we didn't even talk.
No, but you're the kind of guy I feel like, oh my God, I just picked up.
It's like coming home. And I love you to death. I love everything about you. You're a man that I root for constantly, and I always want you to succeed.
And my friend. You'll do this again. Folks, I will definitely have Joe Larson on after I start a 6-month rigorous jiu-jitsu regiment.
Next time, we're just going to fight.
Yeah. How great would this be? Just at the end of the podcast, I just decked you, and that was the last shot. All right, I need to hit stop just to make sure this thing finalizes the recording. Folks, show love where love can be shown. What's your Instagram? How do we find you, Joe?
He
doesn't
Joe
know.
Larson?
Yeah, you know what? I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
All right, show love where love can be shown. Good night, New Jersey, but really New York.